The highway stretched endlessly, cutting through miles of farmland and desert brush. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky painted in streaks of violet and gold. The air was warm but lonely, the kind of quiet that makes you feel small, like the world has forgotten you. On the side of that lonely road stood Emily Carter, her hand resting on her swollen belly, her other hand trembling as she wiped at her tear-streaked face. She was 8 months pregnant, fragile, exhausted, but filled with the silent strength of a mother clinging to hope. And yet at that very moment, the man she had trusted most, her husband, Daniel, was pulling away. His black Mercedes purred smoothly, accelerating into the distance, headlights shrinking until they disappeared into the night. Emily's voice broke into the silence. "Daniel, please don't leave me here." But the roar of his engine swallowed her words whole. Daniel Carter was a man who wore success like a crown, a self-proclaimed millionaire who adored luxury resorts, 5-star restaurants, and applause from strangers who barely knew his name. But what he didn't love, what he never truly valued, was sacrifice. And in his mind, Emily's pregnancy had become an inconvenience. Only moments before, his cold voice had cut through her heart. "Emily, you're slowing me down. I need some space. I'll check into the resort up north. You'll be fine here. Someone will help you." And then he was gone. Emily wrapped her arms around herself, as if hugging her belly tighter could protect her from the crushing weight of betrayal. The gas station behind her was small, almost forgotten by time. Its neon sign sputtered weakly, casting faint red and blue glows on the cracked pavement. The pumps looked like they hadn't been updated in decades. Fear pressed into her chest. Her thoughts raced. What if I go into labor here? What if no one comes? What if something happens to the baby? She sank onto the station step, pulling her knees close despite her heavy stomach. She whispered to her unborn child, "It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here. We'll get through this. Somehow." Just then, the squeak of a door broke the silence. From inside the station shuffled Mary, the owner. Her apron was stained with years of work, her gray hair tied back neatly, her glasses slipping down her nose. She had lived through hard years, but there was warmth in her voice when she asked, "Sweetheart, are you all right? You look pale." Emily tried to answer, but her voice cracked. My husband left me here. I'm 8 months pregnant. I don't know what to do." Mary's weathered face tightened, her brows knitting with quiet anger. "Left you? In your condition? Lord help me. Some men don't deserve the women they marry." She reached out, steady and gentle, and helped Emily to her feet. "Come inside, dear. Let's get you settled." The gas station wasn't much, just shelves lined with dusty snacks, a humming refrigerator with sodas, and a counter stacked with old newspapers. But to Emily, it felt like refuge. Mary brewed her a cup of chamomile tea in a chipped mug and pulled up an old rocking chair in the corner. Emily sat, cradling the cup in her hands. The warmth seeped into her palms, calming her trembling fingers. She finally found the courage to share her story. She spoke about Daniel, the charming millionaire who had swept her off her feet, promised her the world, only to slowly replace his affection with criticism. She spoke about the loneliness, the way he prioritized appearances over their marriage, and how she had prayed the baby would bring them closer. Instead, it had pushed him further away. Mary listened, her eyes soft with compassion. She never interrupted, never judged. When Emily's tears finally slowed, Mary placed her wrinkled hand over hers and said, "Child, you don't need his money or his approval. That baby inside you, that's your miracle. And you are braver than you believe." Those words wrapped around Emily like a blanket. For the first time that night, she felt seen. She felt hope. But fate wasn't finished with her. Hours later, as the night deepened, the storm rolled in. Rain drummed against the thin roof, wind howled around the corners of the little building, and thunder cracked in the distance. Emily's breathing grew sharp and uneven. Pain shot across her abdomen. She gasped, clutching her belly. Mary rushed to her side. "Oh, sweetheart, is it the baby?" Emily nodded, her eyes wide with fear. "It's too soon, but I think it's happening." Mary grabbed the old landline behind the counter and tried dialing, but the storm had cut the phone lines. Panic surged. For a moment, The old woman froze, but then determination set in. She grabbed her raincoat, wrapped another around Emily, and said, "We'll get you help, I promise." Just as they stepped into the rain, a pair of headlights cut through the storm. A rusty pickup truck rattled into the lot, tires splashing against puddles. Behind the wheel was Jack, a rugged mechanic from the nearby town. Known for his gruff voice and rough hands, he was the kind of man people trusted in emergencies. "Mary? What on earth?" His words stopped when he saw Emily doubled over, clutching her stomach. "She's in labor," Mary shouted. "We need to get her to the hospital, fast." Jack didn't hesitate. He flung open the truck door, helped Emily inside, and hit the gas. The old pickup roared down the flooded highway, wipers slashing back and forth as the rain hammered against the windshield. Emily gripped the seat, her breaths sharp and uneven. Mary held her hand, whispering prayers through the storm. After what felt like a lifetime, the glowing red cross of the county hospital appeared. Jack pulled up, honking wildly until nurses rushed, out with a stretcher. They wheeled Emily inside, Mary and Jack following close behind. Hours dragged by in the waiting room. The storm raged outside, but inside, time seemed to stand still. Jack paced, muttering to himself, while Mary clutched her rosary. Then finally the sound came, the first cry of a newborn baby, high, pure, and full of life. The nurse stepped out, smiling. "Congratulations, it's a healthy baby girl." Emily lay in the hospital bed, exhausted but glowing, tears streaming down her cheeks as the nurse placed her daughter in her arms. She whispered, "Grace, your name is Grace, because that's what saved us tonight." Mary and Jack peeked in through the doorway. The joy on their faces was the kind usually reserved for family. And in that moment, Emily realized, family wasn't always blood. Sometimes it was the strangers who stood by you when you were most alone. Meanwhile, miles away, Daniel sipped champagne at the luxury resort. He laughed with strangers by the pool, his phone turned off, his conscience untouched. He didn't even know that his daughter had been born that night. He didn't realize he had missed the most important moment of his life. But Emily didn't care anymore. As she gazed at her baby's tiny fingers curling around her own, she understood something profound. She didn't need Daniel. She didn't need his wealth, his approval, or his empty promises. She had found strength in herself. She had found love in unexpected places. Days later, Emily returned to Mary's gas station, Grace nestled safely in her arms. She hugged Mary tightly. "You saved us. I don't know how to thank you." Mary smiled, tears glistening. "Just raise her with love, child. That's thanks enough." Jack, leaning against his truck, grunted, "And if you ever need anything, you know where to find us." From that day on, Emily built a new life. She found work in town, rented a small apartment, and surrounded herself with people who cared. Mary became like a grandmother to Grace, Jack like a protective uncle. And though the road ahead wasn't easy, Emily never felt abandoned again. Her millionaire husband faded into the background of her story, just a man who chose selfishness over family. But Emily? She stepped into motherhood with courage she never knew she had, backed by kindness she never expected to find. All because on the darkest night of her life, she discovered the truth. Sometimes being left behind is the very thing that sets you free. Money may buy comfort, but it can never buy love, loyalty, or compassion. The real riches in life are found in the kindness of strangers, the strength we discover in ourselves, and the love we give to those who need it most.